The morning sun spilled through the window of the old farmhouse kitchen, painting the wooden counter in gold. Elara stood near the sink, sleeves rolled up, her fingers deep in a bowl of flour and dough. The rhythm of her hands, the scent of freshly ground wheat, the faint hum of a kettle, everything about this place whispered home. Outside, the wind brushed against the wheat fields, a quiet murmur of another long day in the countryside. Then came the sound of boots against the porch, slow, steady, and familiar. It was him. Rowan pushed open the door, his hat dusted with sunlight, his face carrying both the weariness of work and the comfort of routine. "Morning smells sweeter every day you bake," he said, his voice low but kind. Elara looked up, smiling shyly. "Or maybe you just come home hungry." He chuckled, hanging his hat on the peg. The warmth between them was quiet, built over years of shared mornings, little jokes, and the sound of rain tapping on tin roofs. As Rowan stepped closer, the air between them shifted, not new but felt deeply. He brushed a bit of flour from her cheek, leaving a faint touch that lingered longer than it should. "You've got a way of turning this kitchen into summer, even in winter," he murmured. She turned back to her dough, her heart trembling like the kettle beginning to whistle. They worked side by side that morning, kneading, stirring, slicing vegetables for stew, each move unspoken communication. The fire crackled softly, the walls glowing amber. Outside, snow began to fall. Elara noticed and whispered, "Looks like the storm's coming early." Rowan looked toward the window, then back to her. "Then I reckon we're snowed in," she smiled, half nervous, half hoping. The evening arrived, dressed in silver frost. The fields disappeared under white silence, and the two found themselves sitting by the fire, dinner steaming between them. "Funny," Rowan said after a long pause. "How quiet feels louder when it's just the two of us." Elara looked at him, her heart aching in a way she didn't want to name. "It's a good quiet," she replied. He nodded slowly, eyes tracing the glow on her face. "You ever think about leaving this place?" She hesitated. "Once, but then I realized some warmth ain't worth losing for anything." The moment hung in the air like breath on cold glass. He reached out, taking her hand, calloused, steady, real. "Then I'll stay where the warmth is," he said softly. And somewhere between the fire's whisper and the snow's hush, their silence turned into something deeper than words. The storm lasted through the night, wind pressing against the walls, snow burying every path. By morning, the world outside was gone, only white stretching to the horizon. Inside, the fire had burned low, but the kitchen was still warm. Rowan stirred from his chair, stretching his shoulders. Elara was already awake, hair loose, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. "We're sealed in," he said with a grin. "Guess the world wants us to rest." She smiled faintly. "Maybe it wants us to talk." He looked at her then, long and unguarded. "You mean about the things we never say?" Elara met his gaze, steady this time. "Maybe about what we've both known for years." He stood slowly, walked over to her, and for a moment the only sound was the kettle's soft bubbling. Then his hand brushed hers again, not by accident this time. "You think this old kitchen's hurt enough to keep a secret?" he asked. She laughed quietly, eyes bright. "It already keeps all our whispers." The silence that followed was filled with warmth, the kind that doesn't fade when the fire burns out. Outside, the snow began to soften, and a single ray of sunlight slipped through the frosted glass, landing right where their hands rested together. By afternoon, the storm had passed. The world outside was clean, silent, new. Rowan opened the door, letting in the fresh air. The scent of pine and bread filled the space, mingling with the sound of melting icicles. Elara stood behind him, apron dusted with flour, hair catching the sunlight. "Looks like the storm's done," she said softly. He turned to her, eyes full of something that didn't need words. "No," he whispered, "it just brought us here." And in that quiet, rustic kitchen, where the air still carried warmth and flour still floated like tiny snowflakes, love finally spoke without saying a single word.